All right, another video. So I get crazy comments all the time, Facebook, messages, Twitter, you name it, YouTube especially. So we're going to go through one. This is a funny one. This is on my recent video, which I literally just released on Carlos Maza, if that's how you say his last name, of Vox, and basically where I'm at with this whole deal. And there's this deranged sort of leftist in the comments. And this happens a lot. But like I always say, in a shirt that you can actually buy, which is right there, monetize your haters. So this is why I have these videos where I go through some of these ridiculous fucking comments, because sometimes they're great little thought exercises, and all the time I can monetize y'all's ass. So that's what we're gonna do. This guy says, his name's Facts Matter, ironically, says, my message to young Ripper 5'9". How is it you think you're, so I'm sure he meant you're, whatever, helping minorities with this dumb rant? First of all, I've never claimed to even have that as an objective. I've never claimed to have that as an objective, so not sure what that's all about. The thing is, Carlos Maza is literally bitching about the marginalized. That's why I brought that up. I never said that was even my goal. I'm not even afraid to say anything, like that. It is what it is. The debate over racism, sexism, and homophobia went on in America for 200 years and ended with JFK and LBJ realigned the Democratic Party behind MLK and the Black Civil Rights movement by passing the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that made racial desegregation the law of the land. That in itself didn't help anything. Now, this may be one of my more unpopular opinions, but I like to be on record by saying, fuck the Civil Rights Act. It needs to be abolished. The preferable thing would have been to eliminate all laws that exist that violate the private property rights of people. And what a lot of people don't understand, and this is the big misconception with the Civil Rights era and the Civil Rights Act, is they make it seem like, okay, everybody in the whole entire country just wanted to segregate. And they completely ignore the simple fact that there were numerous amounts of laws that forced segregation. Those were the problem, where it forced segregation. I mean, that's what the whole Boxcar Act, Louisiana Boxcar Act that went all the way to the Supreme Court. That's what that was all about. Was that the company that was even part of that, and the part of that, like the actual Louisiana Boxcar Company, and the separate Boxcar Act is what I'm referring to. They didn't even want the law to exist because for economic reasons. Money's green, bro. A lot of people don't give a shit about who's purchasing their products, who's utilizing their services. They don't now, and they certainly didn't they didn't even back in the day. Yes, there were a lot of racist people back then, but you cannot completely ignore the simple fact that those laws existed. Literally, again, the separate Boxcar Act was a real thing that went all the way to the Supreme Court, in which that actual company, the Louisiana Boxcar Company, didn't even want that law to exist. They didn't want that law to exist because it would have forced them to purchase more boxcars, because they had to separate the blacks from the whites. So they didn't even want to do that. People completely ignore the fact that the state was being utilized to endorse racism, segregation, and those sorts of ideas. But the problem with the Civil Rights Act was that it literally makes it illegal in a lot of cases, and this is why a lot of states have their own civil rights acts in itself and laws. It's not just with public places, it's with private places too, which is why you keep seeing even now cake baking issues and shit like that. And people are saying because they're being denied service, which is the right of the private property owner, no matter how much it hurts your feelings, you can go to another fucking baker. But that's why I say fuck it. And that's just me being consistent on private property rights. Yes. And it's pretty sure somebody's in the comment. What if somebody didn't want to sell to you because I'm black? Well, okay. What if they didn't? Like what? The Civil Rights Act was so stupid. This is why I fuck with Malcolm X over Martin Luther King Jr. because he understood this shit. Like, what the fuck I look like trying to force somebody to accept my money? Hey man, I know you're a fucking racist, but you better take my money, man. You better take my damn money. You fucking racist. I'm gonna line your pockets. That's how I'm gonna punish you. Truth be told, I'd rather them just straight up say it. Yeah, fuck it. Put a sign out there to say you don't fuck with black, so I can know not to give you my shit because I don't want to be funding y'all. But these civil rights acts, not just the Civil Rights Act in 1964, but especially the civil rights laws that are sort of state orchestrated. And now people get to hide behind, the racist folks get to hide behind the laws, believe it or not. So now that's out the way, and this is why, again, I fuck with Malcolm X over y'all, like y'all's Martin Luther King Jr., because Malcolm X was not an integrationist. I'm not an integrationist either. You either fuck with me or you don't fuck with me. I'm not about to beg no fucking white people to accept me. You got the wrong guy. And that's what the cornballs, a lot of the cornball black folks back in that day, that's what they were doing. The ones that weren't along the lines of Malcolm X. But anyway, Democrats also supported the anti-war movement as well as equal rights movements for women and gay people. On the other side of the argument were racist, white supremacist patriarchy. Oh man, that's a lot of buzz terms right there. Racist, white supremacist patriarchy. Man, back to back, y'all. Who fought to keep the status quo of racial segregation laws legal by bombing black churches and lynching black and white civil rights activists, which is an act of aggression, by the way. The killing and lynching of people, that is wrong. Consequently, there is no debate over racism, sexism, or homophobia being somehow a good thing in any context. Well, first of all, I never said that. I never tried to make that claim. But nonetheless, the fact that you just credited the state for that just kind of is a bootlicky ass comment. Oh, well, the state stopped doing the bullshit that they were doing, and then they forced people in people's businesses and whatnot. And because of that, now we think racism is bad, as if the country wasn't already moving in that direction and becoming less racist per se. The fact that people credit the state for that is fucking disgusting. Because it's the state that orchestrated and endorsed this since fucking slaves came on the first slave ship in fucking even Virginia. They were implementing these slave codes and laws because they knew that that couldn't last as long as it did. Slavery could not have lasted as long as it did without state enforcement. That is a fucking fact. I don't think so. Tell me how any of those things provide a service to anyone. And it's not about whether those things provide a service to anyone, first and foremost. The problem is you're just throwing those terms out willy-nilly. I've never claimed that I endorsed racism, sexism, or homophobia. Now that this issue has been put in proper historical context, and I just schooled you, let's address Crowder and all the other alt-right propagandists using social media platforms like YouTube to pander and spread white supremacy, racism, sexism, and homophobia memes designed to recruit more white people to join their cause for white supremacy. That is the most dishonest part of this. Is because, first of all, Steven Crowder is not alt-right. You can like him or hate him, and that's completely irrelevant. He's not alt-right. The problem with clowns like this is that they keep lumping people in this box. And they call people alt-right and alt-right propagandists and alt-right sympathizer. And all that is just to say, okay, we've recognized that this is a bad bunch. How many people can we lump in there? This is why I said the alt-right was a boogeyman. Think about it. Nobody used the term alt-right like that until literally like the recent years. If you can actually go on my YouTube, and I called this shit out. I'm one of the only folks that called this out when it first came about, when you had the mainstream media covering Richard Spencer, who, again, nobody knew who the fuck he was, having some meeting with a couple of hundred people, which is an insignificant number if you consider America's entire population. So what they did was they zeroed in on this group, and then they dramatized it to make it seem that there were a lot more powerful than what they were, a lot more in numbers than what they were when they aren't. They're a completely insignificant bunch. Y'all fucking made Richard Spencer. But to sit up here and act like Steven Crowder is just dishonest. And again, like, this ain't even like me being a fan or talking as like a fan of Crowder. I'm just saying that objectively speaking, because I can analyze people's work. To say that he does all of this is just absolutely insane. As a black man, what exactly is it you see as the upside to this? So now he's essentially saying that, or he's trying to like pin that on me, like I'm seeing an upside to, look, it's a chain reaction. This is what these sort of guys do. They put you in a box, they lie. So the premise itself is based on a fucking lie. And then it's like, okay, well, you're defending this lie, is essentially what he's trying to say. As a black man, what exactly is it you see as the upside to this? Completely ignoring what I said in the actual video, which I'm talking about, and I'm talking literal facts. Black folks as well get caught in the crossfire. People that make content like myself get caught in the crossfire because Carlos wants to, be mad because people say mean things to him on the internet, even though he throws his punches on the internet. He's basically trying to throw his punches and hide his fucking hands behind his back. Is racism, sexism, or homophobia ever a good thing? Like I said, I've never endorsed that. I do think those terms are being used willy-nilly. I do recognize, I will say, the fact that people have, because like I said, racism by literal definition, arguably speaking, everybody does it. I mean, people will pretend like that's not the case, but it is the case. Like, I prefer black women over let's say, white women. You know what I mean? Like, my partner, before I was trying to find a partner, I was scoping the black women before I was scoping the white women. Oh, clutch the pearls. He has a preference? Oh. I mean, call it what you want to, but nonetheless, I've never endorsed anything of this nature. You know what I mean? I am a staunch libertarian in the sense that I do believe that individuals should be able to act however they want to act, do whatever they want to do, so as long as they aren't using aggression upon peaceful people. And I will condemn idiocy when I get a chance. Like I said, if there's a store down the street, which I prefer they be able to do, the owner not being able to hide behind a law saying, hey, I don't sell to black, I don't fuck with black people, just so I can utilize whatever platform that I have to be a loudmouth and say, hey guys, if I were you, I wouldn't shop at this place because they fucking suck. Maybe I'll even get some investors to build, maybe incentivize some investors to build the same kind of business across the fucking street, in which they say, you know what, we don't give a shit. Your money's what it is. We'll take all of whatever. Doesn't matter what kind of person you are. So you can derail their ass economically. What is it that you, then he said, what is it you think there is left about these issues to debate with white supremacists like Crowder about? The problem is, again, you're just labeling people as white supremacists because you want to label people as white supremacists. There's no evidence that Steven Crowder is that. Say what you will. He's not, there's no evidence that he is that. And if you would like to introduce some sort of evidence that suggests that, by all means, go ahead. But just sitting there slinging that out and just calling everybody alt-right and calling everybody racist or calling everybody white supremacist is fucking meaningless. But these are the types of people that we're dealing with. And I get that crazier. This isn't like, he wasn't nearly as crazy as some of the comments I get. But that sort of highlights what I be talking about, right? I'm not trying to hear motherfuckers bitching about shit. Like, dude, I am a black libertarian that fronts a metal band, bro. Like, come on, bro. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. I get called everything in the book, especially by the leftists. They call me all sorts of derogatory names. that are centered around my race because they think that I don't act like they think black people should act. I don't have the political affiliation that they think black people should have. I don't obsess over racism like they think black people should do. I'm not pearl clutching because somebody said something against black people. I go about my fucking, go about my business and I don't act all offended. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. If you ain't talking about using aggression upon me, I'm gonna make fun of you. I'll shame you. I'll do that, but I ain't fucking about to lose my damn mind and get to crying and telling people you must do this, you must do that because I don't like what they say. You know what I mean? Even though I get all kind, and I leave. Notice on all social media, I have no block list. I have no block list. I don't have block lists on YouTube. I don't have a block list like that on Twitter. I don't do that. I invite dialogue, and if Facts Matter wants to have a debate on my live stream, I'm 100% up for it. You can email me at info@ericdjuly.com. I've had in the last 2 weeks like 5 debates on my live YouTube against people saying a lot of crazy shit. So it is what it is. Like, it ain't nothing to me to have some dialogue with people, certainly if they disagree, and I'm not going to lose my mind because they call me out, my name. This is what it is. This is why I called him a because he's offended. He's offended by Steven Crowder. It has nothing to do with him being a white supremacist or being alt-right. That's just what he wants to label these guys as, because people, for the most part, realize that those are least preferable demographics, right? Nobody wants to be alt-right. Nobody wants to be a white supremacist. And this is what these dishonest hacks, this is what they do. This is why you got to watch it. It's not, notice it started with the Alex Jones of the world. Now we're moving on to fucking Steven Crowder. It's just going to keep going, until this shit stops, until people start just telling these chumps to just fuck off. Dude, you offended. Like, so what, dog? It is what it is. Go make a video. Go monetize them. Go monetize Steven Crowder. If y'all had any sense, y'all be monetizing Steve Crowder. But this is why I say that SJWs like this, they aren't creative. And there's a lot of popular SJW YouTubers, I'd imagine. But the reason why guys like, I don't know them. I'm just saying I imagine that they are. But the reason why I think the Carlos guy says that people like Crowder are basically what YouTube wants. He thinks that is because, they're all right. They say they make these videos, they be inflammatory, and they have this big following. No. It's just the fact that people are creative enough and they don't come from the left. They're creative enough to just make videos. That's simple. It's not simple like that, but it looks like it. But yeah, in a sense, it is simple. It's a simple thing as people make content. They make videos. They film themselves doing things, and they are able to gain followings and be creative enough to do so. And people like the Carloses of the world, they hate that. How dare somebody I disagree with have a platform, guys, like he says. So why don't I call them alt-right? Why don't I use my platform, Vox in this case, and use the platform given to him by way of that? Because he's not a creator. Like, he's not a creator like that. Like, we were looking this up last night. Like, what the fuck has he created? And I mean, I'm not talking about piggybacking off of Vox. What has Carlos created? This is why he doesn't maybe understand this shit. And when he puts other content creators in the crossfire. So you want to talk about how this helps minority? There's a lot of minority individuals that get caught in the crossfire because of this, that have built their channels from the ground up, not piggybacking off of Vox, who was owned by NBC, I believe. But not piggybacking off of them and their following. And you mad. Fuck out of my face. Facts matter. But like I said, if you want, we can debate this topic live. I think that would be a good way to really hash some of this out, because I think you don't really understand the civil rights era like you like to think that you do, because you're just and the black civil, like you said, MLK, the Democratic Party behind MLK and the black civil rights movement, and you're talking as if every black civil rights, every black person during the civil rights movement, the civil rights era, was backing the Democratic Party and supported the Civil Rights Act, and that's just simply not true. It's objectively false. Even after the passing of it, guys like Malcolm was like, y'all ain't got shit out of this. They promised y'all integration and all of this other shit, and what have you got? So I will say that it was certainly the LBJ, and I think it's a great quote. I don't know if it's actually attributed to him. A lot of people do. The whole I'll have ends voting for the Democratic Party for the next 200 years. And if that's what he said, I mean, black folks are the only party voting for, well, the only demographic that, in terms of black folks that vote. So you can't say all black people, because most black people don't even fucking vote. But the black people that do vote, 90+% of them vote for the Democratic Party. It's the only racial minority that does that for any party. So, yeah, so with that being said, yeah, it was a scheme. And obviously the welfarist policies, which have ruined the black communities by basically taking out the black. Look, we can get in that for another video. I'd love to debate this. I don't think first of all, I obviously disagree, about what happened coming out of the Civil Rights Act and coming out of the Civil Rights era, but I think you have a fundamental misunderstanding of what actually happened. But most definitely, if you want to chat about it, you can info@ericdjuly.com. That's info@ericdjuly.com, ericdjuly.com, or you can go to my contact sheet at ericdjuly.com and hit me up. We'll schedule a stream and we'll debate this, because instead of going to fucking cry because people say stupid shit like trying to act as if I'm taking up for racism and sexism and homophobia and saying dumb shit like that, slanderous shit like that, and instead of getting mad, I just call you out and like to have some sort of intellectual dialogue.